Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we are going to be doing a deck profile of a deck that I've actually had a lot of fun researching and playing this deck, especially with the new support, and that is my Kubica deck. So, funny story, one of my good friends on this channel, he, for a long period of time, he always did my Kubica decks on this channel, and I decided, when the new movie pack came out back in January, to say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to build Kubics because I love the new secret rarity they have for the third movie pack they've printed now. I thought it looked pretty neat. So I decided to do a deck create the deck. A few weeks later, as I'm right about to do the deck profile, guess what happens? Again, Konami announces that they're releasing new Kubic support. So I was like, awesome, because they were releasing things like Kubica Dharma, which we've been waiting on for over a year now. So with that new support coming out, and me wanting to build the deck, I was just so excited to do that. So without further ado, let's get into the deck profile, guys. I'm really excited to profile this deck. It's a fun deck that I've been wanting to build for some time, and with the new support, it's even made it a lot more competent in the way you can play the deck and give the deck a little bit more versatility. So first off, we run 3 Crimson Nova, the Kubic Lord, as a 3-of in the deck. He is kind of your boss monster, quote-unquote, of your deck. I've always referred to him as kind of like a High Priestess of Prophecy type of card to some regards. The way you have to reveal things to special summon him. But he is definitely an essential 3-of in the Kubic deck for what he does. He helps you just do a bunch of damage and just kill your opponent. So, 3 Kubic Lord. Then we run 3 Duza. Duza is very essential to all your different combo plays in your deck. It should not be underestimated how important Duza is. That's the reason why we still run Summoner Monk in the deck, because you want to tutor out your Duza to get your dumps in the graveyard. So Duza, if you don't know, is pretty much kind of like an Armageddon Knight for your Kubic monsters, your Kubic cards and monsters. That's why we run him as a 3-of, and that's why we even run Summoner Monk, because you can run Summoner Monk, tutor out the Duza, use Duza's effect, and then go into a rank 4 Exceed play if you need to. So 3 Duza. Next we run 3 V-Jam. All my buddies joke about V-Jam. They're like, if I could run a deck of just V-Jams, I would. And I'm like, whatever, dude. But I'm not joking. V-Jams is pretty cool, pretty awesome card. The fact nowadays that you can actually tutor it out from your deck a little bit more, which is cool, thanks to one of the new cards that recently came out, which is called Kubica Ascension, which you can help tutor out your V-Jam, is actually pretty cool that you can do that now. But yeah, definitely 3 V-Jam in the deck. Happy that it's a secret rare. Next we run 1 Buster Gundurl and 1 Voltic, the Kubic Emperor. Buster Gundurl is really, really good to some extent, and Voltic is pretty nice as well. Some people are like running other Kubic monsters in their deck, and that's perfectly fine if you want to take that route. Me personally, I just find with the way that I've been playing the deck that I just need one of these 2 other ones, and that's all. So that's the ratio I run of that. Then next up we run 3 Summoner Monk in the deck. Summoner Monk, like I said, is very useful in this deck for multiple different means. Mainly, you're going to be tutoring out your Duza, which is, like I said, essential to your plays. So usually you're going to go pitch your spell card, bring out Duza, use Duza's effect, and there you go. And some of your spell cards you actually want engraved so you can get their secondary effects. And for the most part, we're running a lot of spell cards, which sometimes they can get bricky. So for that reason, it's good to run something like Summoner Monk. So that's why we run 3 Summoner Monk, because he's at 3-of now, and he's useful in the deck. Next up we run 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. Ash Blossom, I wanted to run some amount of hand traps in the deck just to help out. While this deck, I will say to some degree, does like technically going second to do a bunch of damage, Ash Blossom is really nice in that regards, but you can run whatever hand trap you want to. This is 2020. Everybody runs hand traps for the most part, unless your deck doesn't have space for it. But usually for decks like this, where you're just trying to stop your opponent from doing something, Ash Blossom will come in handy. So you can run Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre, DD Crow, whatever you want to, just run it. I just like Ash Blossom because it's generic. Next up we run 3 Kubic Karma. Kubica Dharma is really useful. We run this card. It's very nice. I'm so happy they bumped it up to Secret Rare. It looks so beautiful in person. I really like the Secret Rare they did with the movie pack. It looks really nice and sparkly and just really well done, I feel like. But 3 Karma, Kubica Dharma, and in addition to the 3 Kubica Dharma, we also run 3 Cubic Wave. Now, Cubic Wave is a card that some people run as a 2 of, some people run as a 3 of. I thought because I'm running Summoner Monk, it was okay to run as a 3 of because you could just pitch it to bring out a Dooza and then go from there. So, yeah, just 3 Cubic Wave and 3 Kubica Dharma. And then we're going to talk about Dharma here in a second because that's a brand new card. So next up we run 3 Kubica Dharma. This is a card that just came out very recently from the recent set back in the end of March. And this card's really nice. I'm going to read you the effect because it's very new, and if you haven't played Kubics in a long time, you may not know what this card does or is. So Kubica Dharma states, you take no battle damage from attacks involving your Kubic monsters. You can only use each of the following effects of Kubica Dharma once per turn during your main phase. Well, first off, that's really nice. That's a pretty dang good effect overall for a continuous spell for the deck. But what are these 2 other effects? Number 1, you can send 1 Kubic card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, draw 1 card. That's great. We'll talk more about that in a second. Number 2, you can banish this card from graveyard, then target 1 Kubic monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Well, if you guys don't know, Kubics have always had a problem with draw power to get to their combo plays, because they are technically a combo-oriented deck. And the fact that they have a built-in draw power for the deck is really nice. And number 2, getting to reoccur resources back from grave, that's awesome. So Dharma is definitely an essential 3 of, because if you pitch it to graveyard still, you're going to get additional effects, which is cool. So yeah, 3 Dharma in the deck every day. Next up we run 3 Foolish Burial of Goods. Now, some people run different ratios of this card, and that's perfectly fine. Some people run it as a 2 of, some people run it as a 1 of, some people run it as a 3 of. I've seen different people. I've seen a lot of people run it more than as a 3 of and 2 of than a 1 of. It's just so nice because a lot of your spell cards, and even your trap cards for that matter in the deck, you can send them to graveyard to get good graveyard effects. And Foolish Burial of Goods helps you set up that for your deck. And you're also deck thinning at the same time. So that's why I run 3 Foolish Burial Goods. We also run 3 Call by the Grave. While I talked about earlier a little bit, how Ash Blossom slows your opponent down, an Ash Blossom, or an Effect Veiler, or a DD Crow even, not so much DD Crow, but Ash Blossom and I've also had problems with Effect Veilers. Hand traps can really hurt this deck. Let's just say that. And so for that reason, I like running Call by the Grave. And, you can banish your opponent's graveyard effects, but you can also protect your monsters from hand traps. So I do like the Call by the Grave in the deck. You don't have to run it. Some people would probably prefer to run other cards in their Kubic deck, and that's fine if you want to do that. But me personally, I've always found that hand traps are kind of an Achilles heel of this deck, even with the new support. And Call by the Grave, you still want to run the deck for protection. So that's the reason why we're running that. Also one Paw of Desires. You could run other pot cards. You could run Upstart Goblin, anything else like that. But I just wanted 1 Paw of Desires in the deck, just for a little bit additional draw power for the deck. I wouldn't run more than 1. I've always had the problem, if I run more than 2 Desires, I always draw the other Desires. It's just weird. So I never run 3 Desires. There's different things you could run for draw power, but I just wanted a little hint of draw power in the deck just to help out. Next, let's talk about Kubic. This one. This just recently came out with a new set as well when Kubica Dharma came out. So Kubic, how do you pronounce it? Casualty. It says, distribute a number of Kubic counters on the face-up monsters your opponent controls up to the number of Kubic monsters you control. Monsters with Kubic counters can attack, also negate their effects. That's pretty cool, so this can be kind of like a mini skill drain. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Kubic monster you control. This turn, each time it destroys a monster by battle that has a Kubic counter, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster. You can only affect 1 Kubic casualty per turn, which is the reason why I'm only running 2 of it because it's a once per turn card, and it does take some setup. But it's really nice, and like I said, it's another type of card where if it'll get an effect in graveyard as well if you want to send it there. So, double Kubic Casualty. Next up, we run double Kubic Ascension. Some people run this as a 3-of, and I understand why, because V-Jump is so cool. But by the way, the artwork creeps me out on this card. But it says here, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, special summon 1 V-Jom, the Kubic Seed from your deck, and if you do, change the attack target to it and perform a damage calculation. If your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 higher than yours, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 V-Gen, the Kubic Seed from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Then if only your opponent controls monsters with this effect was activated, you can special summon up to 2 more V-Gen, the Kubic Seed. You can only do this once per turn. So again, another type of card where it's very good, but it does take up some setup. I do like it as a 2-of in the deck, though. Really, really, really nice. And then lastly, we run 3, the Unification of Kubic Lords. This card you're going to send to graveyard, or you're going to use it to go for your big fusion if you wanted to. Hopefully in the future we get more fusions for Kubics. I think that would be really nice to have. But we run 3 Kubic Unification in the deck. On to the extra deck now. We got our little field center. But we have 1 Relinquish Anima, which is brand new. 1 Link Karibo as well. 1 Cerberus. 1 Phoenix. And also 1 Unicorn. Also 1 Bull Sword. So we run these links here. These are just some generic links to run. Because you run some level 1s, I like Anima and Link Karibo. They're nice to have. For your rank 4s, we run number 60, Digress the Timeless. This card's really helpful because you can draw multiple cards and then send cards to graveyard. Really, really useful card. Definitely go into this a lot, actually. Bagasucha, Tornado Dragon, Utopia the Lightning, and Exoton Knight. And then we also go for number 81, Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. I also run that. In addition to Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Juggernaut Lib. So we run the big cannons. And then lastly, we also run the Fusion as a 1-of in the deck. So that is all for the extra deck, guys. It's pretty straightforward there, as you can see, on everything that we run. The deck is really fun to play. Like, it really, really is fun to play. It's been a fun deck to play around with. There's different ways to build the deck. There are certain cards like this one right here that's really good in the deck because you want draw power for your Kubic deck and you need it. You sometimes will go for the fusion and do crazy things, which is cool to do, but for the most part, this is a fun deck that you can take to locals and have a lot of fun with your buddies at, and probably even take into your local tournament for the evening and have a lot of fun. So it's a fun deck, guys, and hope you guys enjoy this deck profile, and until next time, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see all of you guys next time. Good luck dueling to all of you guys. Take care.